Hi, and welcome to week 5, and congratulations on passing the halfway point in the course. This week, we're going to be looking at how to understand Hebrew poetry. The goals this week are to analyze parallel structures within Hebrew poetry, add sorry, add lesson objective here. No, did that. Analyze parallel structures within Hebrew poetry. Apply the interpretive methods used in the evaluation of poetry, and evaluate different psalm categories, identifying elements of each type. Now, Hebrew poetry is not a rhyming poetry like we think of in English. It has elements of meter, which are difficult to analyze without going back to the original Hebrew, but it also has wordplay and parallel structures. And so we're going to spend most of our time looking at that wordplay, parallel structures, and interconnections between the Psalms. We have 2 assignments and a discussion post. Assignment 1 is to look at parallelism within Psalm 22. So I'm wanting you to create a list of types of parallelism, which you can only do after you've done the reading, and explore Psalm 22. You should also identify 6 instances of figurative language and 2 instances of inter-psalm connections. And you're going to use a worksheet that I've provided for you under course resources. Be sure to include a 2 to 3 paragraph conclusion explaining what you've learned and discussing your findings and adding an application to the modern church. Also be sure to fully explain why the instances in Psalm 22 that you find and identify meet the type of parallelism that you are discussing. Now, here is an example. Psalm 22:2 in the NIV reads, "My God, I cry out by day, but you do not answer. By night, I find no rest." Now, as you look at that, are there parallel sayings? And if so, and it's kind of like a chiasm where certain things fit together. Now, if we look at it closely, we see a reference by day and a reference by night. These two are actually antithetical, or they could be synonymous parallelism, where we have the same idea being contrasted, that they cry out by day and no one answers, and because of that, they cry out at night and they find no rest. These ideas are synonymous, and by restating them in a different way, the author is driving home their point that God is not listening or answering prayers. Now, in assignment 2, you're going to do a psalm classification worksheet. And again, this is based upon your reading and lectures. And I want you to complete the provided worksheet by classifying each psalm type and outline the elements supporting your classification. So there are lots of different psalms, and they have been categorized by type. So an example would be Psalm 3. "O Lord, many are my foes, many are rising against me. Many are saying of my soul, there is no salvation for him in God." So we have right off the bat the fact that this person's in a serious hurt and is crying out to God because everyone, it seems, is against him. Verse 3 continues, "But you, O Lord, are a shield about me, my glory, and the lifter of my head. I cry aloud to the Lord, and he answered me from his holy hill. I lay down and slept. I woke again, for the Lord sustained me. I will not be afraid of my many thousands of people who have set themselves against me all around. Arise, O Lord, save me, O my God. For you strike all my enemies on the cheek, you break the teeth of the wicked. Salvation belongs to the Lord. Your blessing be on your people. So we have this movement of progression. I am in danger. Everyone's against me. But I trust in God because God will sustain me. Finally, to a resolution and a praise for God. Salvation belongs to the Lord. Your blessing be upon your people. So this type of psalm fits a lament. And the elements, according to the reading, are you have an address, verse 1, cry out to the Lord. A complaint, verses 1 and 2, David describes his foes and how bleak his situation seems. A statement of trust in verses 3 to 6. A statement of deliverance, and says 7a, David cries out to God for help. Concluding that verse with assurance, details of how God will come to David's aid. Finally, praising God for his help and deliverance. So we see that there are rules for how different types of psalms were created, and this psalm follows every component of a lament. Now, I'm going to have you in the assignment take your psalms, tear them apart, and decide what classification of psalm they are, and then explain why you're classifying them that way. So then to conclude, we would say, how does knowing this aid in our interpretation? And I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with in your conclusions about how the type of psalm helps you to understand the psalm. And then finally, we have a discussion question this week to evaluate modern psalms. Because a psalm is nothing more than a song, I want you to try to bring that into modern church or modern contemporary church application. And in many ways, contemporary Christian worship songs are examples of modern psalms. So how do you think the lyrics of the song you choose resemble a psalm? You might want to provide examples of parallelism or instances of figurative language, or you might classify the type of song. Is it a lament? Is it a hymn? Is it a wisdom psalm? How is this song put together? And can we take more ancient classifications and bring them in and show that in modern worship we still continue many of these elements? Be sure to provide the lyrics of your song in the post so others can discuss your findings. So that's our 3 assignments for this week. As always, please put your name in the file name and email or call me with any questions. Do be sure, I'm beginning to count off and will continue to up the ante on what I count off. If you do not capitalize Bible, that is something that is just a must in biblical studies. So if you're using the word Bible in a discussion post or in a paper, be sure to capitalize it. Biblical, however, is a little b. We're far enough into the course that I consider that to be a gradable offense. So with that, have a great week. Enjoy the assignments, and I'll talk to you soon.